Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this edition of AACRAO's Credential Chats, where we are joined by one of my friends and mentors who I'm a big fan of, Cynthia LaBrake. Cynthia is the director of the Office of Personalized Professional Success at the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Noah. I'm delighted to be here.
And, I definitely want to dive in. I know the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston is part of the LER accelerator work that ACRA is one of the groups stewarding that programming. But before we dive into that, Office of Personalized Professional Success, you,
hmm
you are the inaugural, the first, and I guess still maybe only employee of the Office of Personalized Professional Success. What does that mean? And what are you working on there?
Well, basically, I was brought in to start the office and to stand up a micro-credential program that would serve both the academic enterprise and be served by the academic enterprise and the clinical side, which is the health system side, in service to them, and they also providing micro-credentials. So the goal there is then that we sort out what people really need to know, what they know already, and what they really need to know and do to advance themselves professionally in the larger medical ecosystem, healthcare system.
And I mean, you know that ecosystem is my love language word. So thanks for just kicking us off there. And when we talk about this ecosystem, I know that was a part of getting accepted into the LER accelerator cohort
hmm
was bringing together not just, hey, we want to issue micro credentials, but we have an ecosystem approach. One of the things I heard you saying that your office is doing is um, serving and served by.
Yes,
And like know what
yes.
those words mean individually, but together in post-secondary education, I don't know if that necessarily makes a whole lot of sense to me and everybody else. And so maybe you could unpack a little bit of that and how it relates to this ecosystem.
Sure. So as we think about, who's generating the curriculum and the teaching and learning, typically we look to, higher education for that in this space. And so we want to uh, have our academic partners help us create curriculum that's going to bridge the gap for people who are trying to upskill or just enter the workforce. So we're professional educators, then we should be able to do that. We also want to serve the academic enterprise by helping them think more about competency-based education, start issuing digital skills badges to our current students. So it's both. My office, we want to help lift up how we think about teaching and learning and how we support evidence and portable evidence of skills, competencies. And so that's what I mean by served by and for. And the same on the clinical side. The clinical side is a great lab space for teaching and learning and thinking about how we can incorporate earn and learn type programs as we work together to define the competencies so that they really map from one side to the other. So I think that's what I mean.
Hmm. And does that also play into, I imagine that some of the competencies your trainer in, you know, some of these high needs talent pipelines areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that, a medical campus like yours is not an insignificant employer of some of those where they're struggling for
That's right.
talent.
That's
And
right.
so as part of serving the learners and serving the institution, also
Yeah.
you're consumers of your credentials.
That is true. And so I think that's why when we get back to that ecosystem word, all of our favorite word these days is that because we have both, I think we're uniquely situated to really figure out ways to communicate effectively what are the competencies our graduates are coming away with and what are the competencies needed at various stages along the workforce. And if we are aligned, great. If we're not, then those are the opportunities where we can stand up micro credentials. And as we know, with micro credentials, short term, workforce aligned training that makes sense for the person where they are and where they want to go. So
And Working in the office of the registrar, when I hear you talking about some of these things with our learning records, that's where I get excited is just about the possibilities that in addition to saying what somebody took in a learning record, when they took it, and what their outcome was grade wise, you're describing, being able to articulate in the official learning record a whole
Right.
lot more narrative. And like, just what does that mean to you? And how do you see that leading to learning records, that our offices like ours are stewarding, being used like more often, more powerfully, and more, I don't know, just in cool ways than they are
Right.
historically?
Yeah. So that's leads us to our LER Accelerator grant project. So we really had kind of 4 points. One was to create a framework for writing competencies that would provide that help the curriculum writers and the trainers have sort of a framework or a template to break down their learning and teaching into measurable outcomes. And then we would make a record of the outcome and the associated assessment. So that, of course, is the metadata associated with the open badges. And so using that kind of open badge idea of the level of metadata that we want to capture, we need to have a framework to make sure the data is good. So that means that step one is writing good competencies with the measurable outcomes and associated assessments. So that was part one. We're working with CBEN to try to sort that one out, and with some examples, we hope to lay the foundation for kind of in our nursing pipeline. Then the
Cynthia,
next,
just to make CBEN is the competency-based education network, yes?
yes, competency-based education network, another partner in the LER Accelerator cohort. Then the second was to figure out where is this data going to land in our data lake or our source of truth. Is there a place for it already? Are there fields where this new information can go, or do we need to rethink the data structure for our source of truth so that there's place for this? So we still need to keep record for our matriculated students of their credentials, the credentials that we already keep track of, but is there space to add on? And so then think, comprehensive learner record type of approach there. But we also want to keep a record, find place for a record for all people who come to us for micro-credentials, matriculated or non-matriculated students. So in the same space, can we have a space for people earning micro-credentials? And that way we'll have this larger picture of who has come to us, what have they earned. So it's not just the matriculated students, but it's also what we would consider non-matriculated students coming simply to purchase short-term workshop learning that is then we then create evidence of that learning using our digital badge kind of structure. But we keep that instead of just issuing it, but we also keep record of that. And then the third part of our project was really then can we, if we have a place to hold it, can it be used? Can we use it to help us make decisions about on the healthcare side? What can we actually, expand it out to not just people who are coming to us to earn micro credentials, but also our own employees? Can we check what their competencies are? Can we get this whole big picture in the same database that says what competencies does our current workforce have? What competencies are people, non-matriculate people earning? What competencies do our students have? And then we create this ecosystem of, wow, we're producing all these people that can do this, but on the workforce side, all of our people can do that, and we really need something in between. So that's going to help. That's like data-driven decision making using this warehouse of competencies that we have created to help drive curricular decisions, to help drive hiring decisions, the whole thing. So we're hoping to model that, and then continue to improve upon that model. So it's a big project. As you know, the LER Accelerator cohort is a planning grant. So what we're doing is planning all these things, and because of the opportunity to be a part of this cohort. The funding, the support, the coaching, the webinars, it has allowed us to bring together people across the university and the healthcare system. I want to be clear, we're both the medical school and the healthcare system, bringing together people from both sides to the table to talk about what does this mean for us. So in our group now, we have the chief data officer who's working with us. We have the chief HR officer who's wildly excited about what we're doing. And then, of course, we have all the deans. We're very interested in thinking about ways to create graduate programs that are less than master's degrees or that could stack to master's degrees that can really help help crack the nut around how we educate in the healthcare sphere.
And there's just so much to unpack in those four verticals there, and I feel like we are cheating us ourselves with just a few minutes left. But one of the things I hear you describing in your change management is that this does not start from a place of, well, this is new stuff, so we need to do a bunch of new things,
Right.
but rather, this is new stuff. How can we lighten the load by surveying what are we already doing?
Yes.
And how do we leverage that, which is probably a great way to not annoy people and create a bunch of new work for
Right.
people.
Right.
It's redundant.
Right. And part of it also is just thinking about what is the problem to solve and what are the tools that we have to solve it. And the tools that we have available this year are way different than the tools we had 5 years ago. And so I think being able to, and we've all been talking about this for decades, this problem of the workforce is not aligned with the graduates, and it seems to be getting worse, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's lots of small programs that have been developed here and there, hit or miss, ad hoc to try to solve the problem. But we're taking a long view and thinking about how can we use the tools that we have right now to lift everyone up, to give everybody a chance who wants a chance to move along. And the only way to do it is with the data-driven decision making, which we think by articulating competencies and skills, identifying the gaps, and then creating ways for people to learn those things, whether it's in the regular degree programs or if it's something between a degree and a master's or a certificate, or if it's within the workforce while people are at work. So it's a great opportunity. I'm super excited. Pinch me. No, I can't believe this is my job.
Seriously, I know I'm just I'm jealous here, Cynthia. One other thing that you kind of brought back up there is with change, a lot of people can be threatened. And
Hmm.
you're talking about again with this ecosystem approach, your chief HR officer is, I think this is verbatim quote, wildly excited about
She
this.
is.
You're
Yes.
talking about you have all these other deans that are not necessarily seeing this as, the conventional wisdom of, well, this is a threat to our power. This is a threat to our
Yeah.
legacy, revenue structures, our legacy, enrollment management pipeline. I'm hearing that you're somehow able to approach this in a way where they're seeing opportunities. Not
Yes.
only don't threaten what they're already doing great, but leverage that in order to open up whole new verticals of
Yes,
opportunity.
yes, yes, yeah. And our registrar, I should say, is also on the LER cohort, accelerator cohort, and visionary advisory board, which we did not talk about the visionary advisory board, but he's a partner in all of this from the day one. He was one of the first partners in all of this when I started about a year and a half ago. So yeah, lots of support all the way around.
Well, and maybe we have just about 1 minute left. You mentioned that you have a visionary advisory board, which I just want one of those personally. But
Yes, yes, yes.
what is the visionary advisory board
So
in
it's
brief?
really all the stakeholders. When you read all of these things about starting an LER program, it's all out there. You really have to engage your stakeholders. And so that's what we had worked hard at the first few months, is just meeting people individually or in small groups, explaining the vision of what this new technology could do for us and do for our employees and do for our students. And people just got excited. I thought when I was talking to the deans, they would assign one of their associate deans to be on the visionary board. They all said they wanted to be on it. So having that kind of support and leadership from the academic enterprise side is important. Of course, the registrar, some people from his team are on it. The HR fully engaged because they can see the value of micro-credentials for their own workforce. On the healthcare side, we have the chief nursing officer who's very, very interested in this. So it's this space that has been created by our leadership because they value the work that we're doing. And so we meet about once every 3 months and I get advice, bring them up to speed, I get input, I make sure what we're doing is in line with what they want. And we've spent a lot of time on governance
Hmm.
to get our governance set up that's going to work for both sides of the house. And so we've made a lot of progress on that. Have been piloting that. We've started issuing micro-credentials on some programs that were existing. So we're really making a lot of progress. And everybody is walking forward with me and
Hmm.
guiding me to make sure that we're supporting and serving everyone's needs. So,
And Cynthia, I know we're over our time, but just briefly, and you mentioned, you were able to get basically C-suite level
mhm.
buy-in and showing, not just buying like, hey, we go get them, Cynthia, but they're showing up. And, you use the word value. And that signal, like, has that been part of, because you said a year and a half, which to some people who are outside of higher ed might sound like a long time, but to move as quickly as you have in a year and a half, how how much value has it been to have just that signal of value from such senior leaders? How
Yes.
like has that been just really helpful in
Oh
aid?
yeah. Yeah, and the provost is actually on the visionary advisory board as well. And so I literally could not be moving this fast without their support. We kind of, I'm very direct. We are, we hit it head on. I try not to sugarcoat things, but then they know I'm telling them the truth. And so it's just like, this is where we are. This is what we need to do. I want to win. We all want to win. There's a lot of this kind of like, it's all of us. It's all of us. We're all going to win or we're all going to lose and I want to win and they all want to win as well. And when we say win, what does that mean? It means providing opportunities for people. That's where we've all come together. It's like we can make a difference and we can change the way things are happening for individual people. How is that not motivational, and how does that not bring people together to solve the problem together? So we think about the individual people that we are going to help and support, both the patients receiving good care and the care providers who are giving that care. And the better you can do the job, the more you love your job, the more you can sustain in hard times. And so that's kind of like I just being in a healthcare institution is just a really special place to be. And so keeping in mind the mission and the vision of the entire institution and how does our mission and vision fall in line has been key to the change management that's happening and the goodwill that we've created.
Wow. Well, I know we went a few minutes over there, but so worth it. She's Cynthia LaBrake, Director of the Office of Personalized Professional Success at the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston. Cynthia, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for spending your time and engagement with us here on AACRAO's Credential Chats. And until next time, have a badge-worthy week, everybody. So long.